friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff. In today's video, we are making sublimation aprons. Sublimation aprons are a beginner project. This is wonderful if you just got your sublimation printer and you're looking to maybe make gifts for the holidays, something for yourself. This is a really great project to start with. For this video, I'm going to be using my Sawgrass printer as well as Sawgrass DesignMate software. If you don't have a Sawgrass printer, that's totally fine. You can make this on whatever sublimation printer you have. The file I'm going to be used is in Sawgrass DesignMate. So if you want to use that file, you do have to have the Sawgrass. However, you can put basically any other image you want on an apron. You can go find one online and make whatever kind of custom apron you want to make. Additionally, I'm going to be using my big heat press, which is across the room, but you can use a Cricut Easy Press or other similar hand press if you'd like. The big thing here is that you want to use a firm pad underneath. I have found that the Cricut Easy Press mat is just not firm enough for sublimation, so find something a little bit more firm, a wool pressing mat, a Nomex pad, something like that. Let's talk about what you're going to need to make this project. So of course you're going to need your sublimation printer with sublimation paper and sublimation ink. Like I said, I am using my Sawgrass printer, it's over there, but again, you can use whatever sublimation printer you have. And then of course you need a blank sublimation apron. I got my apron from Heat Transfer Warehouse. You can get yours from wherever you would like. Just make sure that it is specifically for sublimation or that it's 100% polyester. A few other things you're going to need. You're going to need a lint roller. You're going to need some butcher paper. I like buying my butcher paper in sheets instead of rolls, but if you have a roll, that's fine too. You're going to need heat resistant tape. A tape measure can be handy, and then if you'd like some heat resistant gloves. I found that I don't necessarily need them for this project, but if you want to be safe around your heat press, you can go ahead and wear those. Let's pop into Sawgrass DesignMate and make our project. Here I am in the Sawgrass Exchange. This is how I can access Sawgrass DesignMate. So all I'm going to do is click on New Creation, and this will bring up a screen to select a blank product. For this project, I'm actually not going to use a template. I'm going to create a custom canvas, which is basically me creating my own size document here. So I'm going to open my custom canvas, and this is what you'll see. Go ahead and measure your apron to see about how wide you want your image. I measured mine, and I think it's going to be about 9 inches wide, so I'm going to make my custom canvas 9 inches wide. The height doesn't really matter in this case. Then click up here for Design Your Canvas. If you have your own file that you want to use, you can upload it here, but I'm going to go to Designs and use one of my designs. I worked with Sawgrass to create my own design collection here. It's called Sweater Weather. It is so cute. You can find it by scrolling down. If you can't find it by scrolling down, you can actually search my name, just search Corey in the search bar and you'll be able to find it. But in this collection, I've got some really cute designs as well as some super adorable patterns. For this apron, I'm going to use this cozy season design, kind of reminds me of holiday baking. It will come in at the full width of my canvas here. Now, I can print it just as is, but I don't really want to do it quite like this, so we're going to make a few changes. And that's one of the things I really like about using these designs in DesignMate, is that you can make some changes. The first change I'm going to make is that I'm going to remove the background. For this project, it would just show up as sort of a light pink square, and I don't really want that on my apron, so I'm just going to remove the background. Then we have these white stars here. So if I click on one of these white stars, you'll see that I can change the color. I don't want to have white stars because white doesn't sublimate. It will just be white on my apron. You won't be able to see it at all. So I'm going to choose actually the pink from this word cozy. So I'm going to click into the word cozy. I'm going to choose the color pink over here on the left, and I'm going to copy this hex code just so I have the right hex code so I can match these stars to my design. Then I'm going to click on my little star here. I'm going to click the white, and I'm going to replace the hex code white with this pink. And it should change the color of my star. I'm going to do that for all 4 of these white stars. Now my white stars are pink, which means that they will show up when we go to sublimate them. Now I can go up here to the top and save my canvas. I'm going to give my canvas a name. I'm just going to call it Cozy Season. And then I'm going to select a category. I'm going to choose aprons, and I'm going to click continue. And here I need to give this a name. We're going to call it Cozy Season again. We're going to call this one Cozy Season in pinks and oranges. Now I can either save this and my file will be saved, or I can just go here to print, and this will open up Sawgrass PrintMate. Here in Sawgrass PrintMate, you'll see that we need to make some changes. The first change we're going to make is that we are going to rotate this so it will fit on our paper. So I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees. I also like to center it on the page because, as you'll see, I like to rip around the edge of my design, and this just makes it a little bit easier. The other thing I want to do is change what product I'm going to put this on. It defaults to metal, but I'm going to choose polyester. Changing this means that your Sawgrass will know exactly how much ink to lay down for your particular blank, and it will also change the color profile ever so slightly to go with the type of white you are using. So a white polyester apron is a different type of white than, say, a neoprene mouse pad. Sawgrass knows this and it changes those color profiles ever so slightly just to make sure your image looks the best on whatever substrate you're putting it on. And that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and click print and send this to my printer. All right, we have our image, but before we touch this, let's go ahead and prepare our apron. So the first thing we wanna do is lint roll the apron. We wanna remove any dust, hair, anything that could sublimate onto the garment. That heat press gets hot enough that it can actually create marks and little squiggles if you don't get this really clean. So go ahead and make sure you are lint rolling the area here. So our time, temperature, and pressure settings for this project are gonna be 400 degrees for 60 seconds with medium to firm pressure. I'm using just a little on the edge of medium, closer to firm. I've actually already pre-pressed mine because I wanted to get rid of all the wrinkles. These come folded into little squares, and of course they're totally wrinkled. So I went ahead and pressed this already. So I want you to go ahead and go over to your press or grab your Easy Press and press this for about 15 seconds just to get the moisture out and to give yourself a nice flat pressing surface. If you do want to press your entire garment that way like I did, make sure that you lint roll the entire thing so you don't end up with any dust marks anywhere on your apron. Once you've pre-pressed, it's time to add our image. Now you could just flip this over and put it on here, but I found that the edges of the paper can sometimes leave some harsh marks. So one way around that is to tear the edge of your transfer. So I do this for most of my transfers on soft blanks. It just creates a much softer edge and you don't have those really harsh pressing lines. So just make sure not to rip your actual design, just like this. This will just create a nicer press. Now we're gonna flip it over and we're going to sort of center it. It's a little hard to see, but you can see through the paper. One of the things I found when I was practicing making aprons is that for at least this design, I grabbed my tape measure here and I kind of put it at the, the top of the letters here, and the top of the letter is here. And I just put it on the top of those letters to see if this looked about even, so that I could tell if my top of my letters were like this, I could tell that it was not straight. And then here at the bottom of my letters as well, that's looking pretty straight to me. Now I'm gonna grab my heat resistant tape and I'm going to tape all around the edge. Just like this. You want to make sure that you don't have a lot of big gaps. You want to make sure that's taped down really well and that you have no like air bubbles or gaps or anything like that. Now we're ready to press. I'm going to head over to my heat press and we'll make our apron. I'm going to start by putting a piece of butcher paper down on the bottom pad of my heat press. Then I'm going to add my apron on top of it. And on top of that, I'm going to put 2 pieces of butcher paper. The butcher paper helps protect the press from any ink that may blow through the paper or through the apron. And like I said before, we're pressing at 400 degrees for 60 seconds with medium to heavy pressure. Let the apron cool just a little bit before you remove it from your heat press to make sure that this transfer doesn't shift and you end up with ghosting. All right, let's remove the transfer and see our final apron. Oh, so cute. That turned out so cute. I will probably go back and press this one more time to get rid of some of these wrinkles, but other than that, this apron turned out perfectly. And that's it. I hope you found this tutorial for making sublimation aprons helpful and inspiring. Sublimation aprons are a great gift idea for the holidays for your favorite chef, baker, hostess. They make great housewarming gifts and they are easy to make, which is awesome. If you like this video, I would appreciate a like. Follow my channel for more sublimation, Cricut, and laser content. I'll see you next week.